Limpopo River flows through 4 countries before it finally empties into the Indian Ocean. It passes through a layered landscape of wildlife, people, and diverse ecosystems. However, the Limpopo River is under threat. Pollution, habitat destruction, water overuse, and climate change are putting pressure on this river and the livelihoods that it supports. I'm Pamela Dlamini, freshwater ecologist and research associate with Oppenheimer Generations Research and Conservation. Today we're launching the Limpopo Biodiversity and Conservation Initiative, which is an Oppenheimer Endowed Research Fellowship, which has just been awarded to Professor Gordon O'Brien. We're going to take a deep dive with Gordon and his team to learn more about the fellowship, how it's making waves in conservation, and how they're going to help save this vitally important landscape. Join me for a talk on the Wildside. We're on the banks of the SARI River, and behind me are Gordon and his team, who are catching tigerfish. Later, they'll demonstrate to us how they tag these fish as part of their Sustainable African Rivers initiative. Gordon O'Brien is an aquatic ecologist at the Charles Sturt University Galbally Institute in Australia. Can you touch a bit on why it's important to take this holistic approach, looking at the entire basin as opposed to just looking at the singular river?
On a basin scale, everything is connected by the rivers that connect all the different parts of the basin. And what lives in the basin and the processes that occur inside that basin, its ecosystem, is connected in that basin. And we find often that if we only look at a certain part of the basin, the upper part of the basin or the lower part of the basin, we're not able to actually make a change and get that balance between the use and protection of the basin right. So we need to change the way we look at it from looking at it in pieces to looking at it as one big system, because it is one big connected system. Today, a large part of the basin has been changed from its perennial, flowing all year round condition into a seasonal type of river where it only flows at certain times of the year. And if you take a river that's never stopped flowing and you stop the flow, it's a massive impact. So flow is definitely a major problem in the basin.
Can you tell us a bit about SARI, the Sustainable African Rivers Initiative? What are you guys setting out to do, and how are you contributing to tackling these issues you've just outlined?
So we are a group of aquatic scientists, and we've come together around a project. And that project is the Limpopo River Biodiversity Conservation Study. So our project has given us the foundational resources that we need to start to carry out very important ecological research in the basin. And we're interested in understanding the biodiversity of the basin, where they live and how they interact with their environment, so we understand the ecosystems. Then we're going to try and look at what's going on and how has that ecosystem changed over time. Where are we today? How much change has occurred to date? And where is it going? So what does the future look like if we continue to do things the way we are doing them today?
Duncan, can you tell us a bit more about the Benjamin Raymond Oppenheimer Trust?
Certainly, from the Benjamin Raymond Oppenheimer Trust, or BRO Trust as often called, it was set up by Nicky and Strilly Oppenheimer in memory of Raymond Oppenheimer, their son, who sadly died at infancy. The Trust looks at conservation, education and health, but looks at bold, big programs that are really going to have huge impacts across a large area. What's really exciting about this project is that it's a holistic program. It looks at the whole Limpopo River Basin, which of course links in 4 different countries. But not only is it exciting from a biological biodiversity perspective, it also involves humans, communities, human life, and possibly even small business development.
This is the first time that we have the opportunity to really look at what indicator organisms, specialized species need in the basin and where they are in the basin, so that we can change the way that we use and manage the basin to ensure that some of those species not only survive, but many of the populations have the ability to recover. We also have a group of scientists who work on migration ecology of fishes, and that's really special because using the ear bone, the otolith or the ear bone of a fish that sits in a little water cavity, and every day the water that sits around that ear bone changes, and some of the minerals from where the fish occurs in that water gets caught up into that ear bone on a daily basis. And as the fish moves around, like a signature or a fingerprint, we can then go find out where the fish has been and over his lifetime. So we get an idea of not only where they are today, but where they and how they move around, and what are the issues that are affecting their ability to move around in the basin and to colonize new areas.
So, Angelica, can you tell me a bit about the tag? What are you hoping to see by tagging these fish?
Okay, so before we put this on, so this is a radio tag. So you can see it has an antenna. And then inside the tag, it has a vibration sensor. So it works like your step count. So as the fish swims, this thing will tilt and you can see the activity. So the hope with it is that we can see whether they can actually use the fish pass, whether they can go from downstream to upstream, because we have stations that set up along the river where we can then determine obviously the location of the fish. And then we also have a probe that's inside the water that looks at depth, conductivity, so we can determine, and temperature, so we can see, oh, the activity is faster and maybe it's related to this environmental variables, or maybe they were catching a prey, or they are stressed and there's more than one, if we obviously want to tag more than one tiger fish, and we can see there's a population response rather than just an individual response. So we tag the fish just underneath the dorsal fin in this muscle tissue. The reason being is obviously their nervous system runs in through the middle, so here it won't be in the way and they won't get snagged, and it allows them to move better with the tag obviously being in. And you can see now it lost its orientation, so we're going to start the process. So we move 2 scales down from the dorsal fin, the tag that's sticking out on the fish, and then this base plate that will fasten it. So you can see that we secured the tag in place. We crimped it on this side, and I'm now just removing the excess wire that we have left. And you can see that it's still going down, so we need to get it into fresh water. And this is then fish 650-303.
Sure, amazing.
So we know that there are some parts of the basin that are still in a relatively healthy condition. We want to spread that important part of the basin and allow them to get into the other parts in the basin so that the condition of the basin can improve. But it's not only about the ecosystem and the fishes. This is about healthy systems, which mean that if the system is healthy, then what the system provides to the people who depend on the system, that improves their health as well. So healthy fish means happy people and healthy rivers.
So Gordon, where to from here? You've touched on the importance of this river system, not only for the biodiversity and the ecosystem, but also for the people who depend on it, whether that be directly or indirectly. How do we make findings from such research actionable to mobilize people to protect the river systems?
What we find is that we need to make a better contribution to bring the different stakeholders, the different countries' water resource managers and the conservationists together around knowledge and good global practice to then contribute to the holistic problem of sustainable water resource management and conservation of aquatic biodiversity.
It's hard to believe that the area behind me here 20 years ago was nothing but farmland. It was just cropping as far as the eye can see. Through work with engineers, through aquatic ecologists, they've completely transformed this landscape from a farmland into an ecosystem that is looking after threatened species in the water and above. We work with river managers to improve flowing systems, we do habitat rehabilitation, we do fish ladders. In many of the countries where we work, fish, frogs, water birds, other aquatic animals, as they're often termed, are important for humans. They're important protein source and food source for humans. So not only are we protecting ecology, we're also protecting lifestyle. The Charles Sturt University Sustainable Aquatic Systems program is working with land managers, ecologists and practitioners to make sure we get excellent outcomes for our sustainable systems.
We've got this saying where we've been walking down this road of use and abuse for many generations. We're not going to fix it overnight, but we need to stop and turn around and together start to walk back towards sustainability together. And by doing that, we have a very good chance of reaching that sustainable balance, of contributing to the health and the improving the biodiversity across the basin and the other benefits that come with that for the benefit of the basin and the people who depend on the basin. And that's what we're here to do.
What fate awaits the once mighty Limpopo river system? It seems like the fish might have the answers, and Gordon O'Brien and his team will be listening closely to hear what they have to say. Join us for a talk on the Wildside where we journey together through the natural world. It's all about conversations with researchers and experts in the landscape. Connect with us on the wild side of life for the benefit of people, places, and planet.